Welcome to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Thank you to all our listeners, 1170 SEN in Sydney, 1620 SEN on the Gold Coast, plus our SENQ on DAB Plus in Queensland. You can also listen on the app. You can download us on podcasting apps as well, Apple and Spotify. You just put in the Captain's Run. You can listen to us anytime. You can pause, do what you need to do, come back and watch or listen to the show whenever you would like. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170. Ask Smithy your Origin questions. Get his thoughts on Game 2 or text in 0457 736 736. Now, coming up on the show, we've got Origin Game 2 review. We've got a preview of Round 16, plus your texts and calls. Also got special prizes to give away during the show. Prizes include $50 Schnitz voucher, one tailor-made prize pack, which includes dozen TP5 golf balls and a Tour Radar hat. What a show! What a show! Smithy, how are you feeling, mate?
Oh, I'm a bit down.
Bit down?
Yeah.
I'm feeling it, trust me. I'm feeling the same way.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm good now. I was a little bit down there for a couple of days, Monday, Tuesday. But I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm happy because I'm here with you.
Oh, yes. How good. Hear that, matey?
And we get to talk to the listeners who are going to be calling in with plenty of gusto about Origin, I'm assuming. Giving us a little bit of feedback about the result. But yeah, no, I feel good, mate. It's New South Wales played really well.
Yeah.
And they had to.
Yeah.
And I think everyone knew what they were going to, or the way they were going to turn up for that game. It was do or die for them. And they played extremely well. From the very first kickoff.
Yeah.
They showed their intent. They played with a lot of energy. They played with a lot more energy than what they did in game one. They needed to. They did. And it just shows, they're a quality side.
Yeah.
So it makes for a huge game 3 in Brisbane, which is already sold out.
Crazy.
It's sold out
So
already.
good.
Still, how far away are we? 2 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, 13 days.
Wow.
So it's going to be absolutely huge up here in 2 Wednesdays' time.
What was it like personally? You obviously got the win. You're flying high. Like the first win, it was basically your first foray back into the rugby league inner sanctum.
Yeah.
And you get that. It's the great stuff. How good's footy? I love footy. It's awesome.
Oh, it's so good. And then you get knocked back down to earth. Yeah.
How was that?
Great.
Yeah. Like, was it a reminder of like, oh, this is the ups and downs of rugby league?
Yeah. Yeah, but to be fair, like we really enjoyed the result in the first game. But to be, as I said, to be fair, like game 2 preparation, we weren't getting carried away.
Yeah. Okay.
And at no stage do I think that the players were complacent and thought that they just had to turn up in Perth and the victory was theirs. They were just outplayed.
Yeah.
But not without plenty of effort. You got to remember at the 50th minute, New South Wales were only up by 2 points.
Yeah.
So it was the last 30 minutes where things went really wrong for Queensland. So they were right in the thick of it, and they were up by until Felice Kafusi got 10 in the bin. They were up by 4 points.
Yeah.
So that took its toll in the end. We'll get a little bit deeper into that, but for all of our listeners out there that follow rugby league closely, as most of them do, you see the effects that a sin binning has at NRL level. Well, times that by 10 in State of Origin.
Yeah.
Given the speed of the play and what you need to have, the extra effort and the extra energy you have to use to be able to defend with only 12 men on the field, it's a really big ask. So, unfortunately, that's just the way the game went. I thought they were pretty brave for that time when Felice Kafusi was off the bench, but off the field. But the last 30 minutes, you could just tell that they were gassed, and they did a lot more work than New South Wales. And New South Wales, they made them pay, like good teams do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting because you look at the end score and you go, "Oh, that's a fair."
Yeah, it looks ugly.
It looks really ugly, and it's strange because if you compare that to, it's not actually that much less of a loss than Game 1 last year, and yet I feel like the feeling is totally different.
Yeah.
In the losses, like for example, I feel like Game 1 last year we were totally Queensland were totally outplayed.
Yeah. Well, we're Queensland.
We're Queensland. All right, we. I was there, but I was just saying we weren't because I didn't want to get outplayed, bro. I didn't get outplayed. I didn't get outplayed.
But as Queensland,
we got outplayed.
Yep.
Whereas
Absolutely.
I feel like game 2 this year, it was more. I didn't really feel like we got outplayed, like constantly stripped of numbers, and they were just a much better side. Maybe just out enthused, maybe towards the end.
Yep.
Is that something you can take a positive out of, or silver lining?
Well, absolutely. I think the positive out of it is that we played for 10 minutes with 12 men, and as I said, the effort of the Queensland side can't be questioned. They kept turning up for each other. They were doing their best to hang in there, and in the end, New South Wales ran over the top of Queensland with the energy that they had preserved throughout that entire match. You got to remember, you got to break the game down. They had 60% of possession of the football compared to 40, and if you look at their possession and where they actually had it, the majority of the time they had the football in their hands, it was in attacking half.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were able to play a bit more expansive football. And don't get me wrong, that didn't come cheaply. Like, you look at Brian To'o and Daniel Tupou, they were amazing. James Tedesco was unbelievable.
Yeah.
I thought he was actually a little bit unlucky not to get best on ground.
Yeah, wow.
Nathan Cleary did, and he was very good also. He orchestrated that great try for Matt Burton, scored a couple himself, didn't miss a goal, 8 from 8. It was a great all-round performance, but I thought James Tedesco was just as good.
Actually, just quickly on James Tedesco, I was speaking earlier in the week. Where do you rate Tedesco in the all-time Origin arena? I feel like he doesn't actually get enough appreciation for how consistent he's been for a long period of time.
Yeah.
What about yourself with a guy like Teddy?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, mate, he's in the top handful of fullbacks. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. And he's multiple premiership winner, State of Origin winning captain. Has won the Wally Lewis medal as player of the series, represented his country. So there's no doubt he's in the top handful of fullbacks to have played the game. I'd still have him, and this may be a little bit biased because I played with this guy, I'd still have him behind Billy Slater.
Yep.
Just because I feel as though Billy sort of really revolutionised the way fullbacks played. He took the fullback role and made it into a dual role where they become an extra half on the field, an extra ball player, rather than just more so a runner. And to be fair to Darren Lockyer, he did a little bit of that, but I feel as though Billy really solidified the way fullbacks play these days. But certainly, for his consistency over several seasons now, James Tedesco, he's got to be in the top handful.
Yeah. Look, I think it's a compliment to Teddy that, we even asked the question, between Billy or Teddy. But, I mean, I'm the same with you, probably a bias because I'm a Queenslander. But I think Billy's still the tippity top. But Teddy, he's in there. He's up there.
Isn't it funny, though, how quickly, things change in rugby league, where you look at the first, 4 or 5 rounds this year, people were questioning whether Pappenhausen should be playing for the Blues. Mate,
and see, that's where my question came from. It was like, for example, the only time Billy ever was questioned at the fullback was when he was injured and he came back and Darbs got the fullback spot for a game or two.
Yeah, he did, because Billy, well, you think back to Billy, he missed a full series in 16, and I think, was it game 2 and 3 or 15, or maybe just game 3?
Yeah.
So he missed 4 games of Origin consecutively. And then Darius, in those years in 15 and 16, Queensland won.
Yeah.
Okay, so that I think that was the main reason why Darius started game 1 as fullback for Queensland that year. Not so much saying that he'd sort of overtaken Billy. Yeah. Because you got to remember, Billy just come back that year as well in 17. He'd only played sort of a handful of games before game 1.
But that's kind of like what I mean is like, outside of that,
there was never any question.
Never any question. Whereas I feel like every year, Teddy.
Well, for at least the last couple.
And it's like Teddy's been literally New South Wales' best, most consistent player.
Their captain.
Yeah. It's just surprising to me.
Well, what did we say? We said at the start of the year, like people were saying, mate, Pappen, like people were texting in and callers, and even some of the media, like, he's got to be there and all that. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Like, Teddy is the captain of New South Wales. Yeah. He's done the job for them many times before. He's been the player of the series. There's no way he's going to come out. So I think he's backed it up with a really, really strong performance in game 2.
Mate, he always does. He's so impressive. And I guess what was it like in the changing room after? It looked like, and again, we could only see footage, but it looked like Billy was very, I guess, personable with the players. It seemed like he was very close to the players and speaking to them in a very, I don't know, like an equal kind of, as a mate even after a tough loss. What was it like in the changing room?
Yeah, no, Billy was very measured, and he actually spoke to the players about some areas where we weren't great at, and also some areas where we were outplayed by New South Wales, and that's reality.
Yeah,
the players need to hear that because you can't just say, "Oh, boys, we got unlucky." Let's just forget about this and move on. So he spoke to them about some areas where we weren't great, some things we planned to do but we weren't able to do them, and some areas where New South Wales were better than us. But then after that, just reiterated that he was extremely proud of the effort that they put in. The effort, he could not question their effort that they applied to the match. There was certainly a lot of hard work put into that 80 minutes. But now, off their performance of game one, they've put themselves in a position where we go to a decider.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom. Of course, everyone was extremely disappointed that we lost game two, but the series is still alive. Okay, so it's great that you're disappointed. It shows that it means something to you, and you care about that performance and that result. But we need to move on from that now. Importantly, we need to learn from it, but then move on and really get ourselves to game three in the very best possible way we can to give ourselves an opportunity to play well.
Do you feel, obviously you're not on the selection board and Billy has control of all that stuff, but just from your opinion, do you think it's going to be a relatively similar, as long as there's no injuries, similar squad?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think without sort of going into detail with Billy about it at all, I've spoken to him a couple of times since Sunday's match, and mainly around the review of the game and sharing our thoughts with the other coaches as well. Bill's message has been around, sticking with the same squad.
Yeah.
Through this third game.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the team that went out there in the first game and had a win, well, they've put our team in this position.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've put the state in a position where we can go to game three and play a decider. They got the job done down in Sydney. So
for 50 minutes, they got the job done.
Yeah, well, that's right. Well, for 50 minutes, it was a very tight game until New South Wales. They chucked it in the next gear and piled on some points. So. We'll have to wait and see. There's a whole week that we're going to preview in the show, Kempy. And as we learnt with, between game one and game two, with the Ruben Cotter situation, like you just cannot plan too far ahead.
Yeah.
Like it all kicks off tonight, Storm v Manly, but there's a long weekend of games.
Yeah.
And all you can do is just sit back and cross your fingers that everyone gets through without injury. I'm knocking on wood right now.
Absolutely. Now on to the New South Wales side. Nathan Cleary scores 24 points, 2 tries, 8 from 8 kicking.
Yep.
Where do you rate his performance, I guess, in the all-time Origin performances?
Yeah, well, I think it's a really strong performance given the way he played in game one. And to his standard, it was relatively quiet. I wouldn't say he played poorly, but it was quiet.
That's game one.
Game one.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'd say with his ability to bounce back from that one and perform the way he did, you got to say, it's one of the strongest or stronger performances I've seen in quite some time. I can't remember way back to 1980, the very first State of Origin game. We weren't born, but there's been some tremendous performances across that time. But of recent years, absolutely one of the better performances. It was sort of a lot like Munster's game one, where he was extremely dominant, a key figure of the team's victory.
Yeah.
But I must say, if you look at the way Nathan plays, his teammates did a lot for him in game two to help him. And I'm not taking anything away from Nathan, but they did a lot more for him in and around him to create time and space for him to be able to do those things that he's so good at.
Yeah.
Like his kicking game, his ability to take the ball to the line, choose the right option, whether it be a pass, whether to run himself like he did on a couple of occasions and scored tries. That lovely, nice, that loop pass over the top to Daniel Tupou in the second half. Just those little things there where his teammates, I think they worked a lot harder off the ball for him in game 2.
Yeah.
So that's a clear message for Queensland going into game 3 that they need to be better in those areas to take some time away from Nathan.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think Cleary, the way he plays like we compare to Munster, for example. Munster is a very different player to Cleary. Yeah. So a good game for Munster is going to look really different to a good game for Cleary.
Oh, absolutely.
Cleary's almost a player where, I mean, look, it's great when he does the individual stuff, but he's almost a player, the less you notice him to a degree, the better. Like he's just laying the platform, allowing Luai to do what Luai needs to do. And so I thought it was a really mature performance from Cleary.
Yeah.
Because I actually thought he was quite rushed in that first half and he was struggling to get some rhythm. What I did like about
in the first game,
in the
first half
of game 2,
okay,
I thought Queensland did quite a good job until obviously this 10 in the bin. But what I liked about Cleary's game 2 performance was he didn't allow it to fluster him. And also he made some adjustments where he realised, wow, there's a lot of line speed here. I need to start running. I also thought it was really interesting that the kick to Burton was a step off the left foot inside Daly Cherry Evans for a kick. And I feel like that's a lot of video sessions, knowing that DCE has a tendency to rush out. And
well, if you look at the high shot on that, right, and then I had a bit of an advantage because I was up high calling the match. But so DCE comes out of the line to try and shut down the play, and that would have been previewed. But as soon if you watch Nathan Cleary, as soon as he comes off that left foot to get back inside Cherry Evans, Matt Burton is pushing through some space for a kick. So he's looking for that. So I feel as though that may have been on the cards for them,
which is
great.
And
just to say, hey, listen, if we see this, if this presents itself, be ready for a kick.
Because it landed right in that spot.
Well, it's just a little dead zone.
Yeah, little dead zone, and I've got to give New South Wales credit. Like it was
coming up with that.
It was a play that they had planned. They had realised that how do we combat a really fast line speed? We can step off our inside and hit right into that little pocket. And I thought, the 2 tries he scored later on were stepping back on the inside and going against the grain, which is really hard to defend.
And that's the point that I was making. And I know we're sort of talking about New South Wales here, but I'm just backing up what I was talking about with Queensland. That was off the back of, I feel, the Queensland players just wanting to work. They're probably overworking a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
So they're working out. They're trying to help their outside defenders.
It's like Sims in game 1 where he was going too far outside.
Yeah, that's right. When Cherry Evans stepped back inside. Yeah, so they're worrying about the outside. They're trying to get out there to do some work for their outside men, and then we got beat back on the inside, which that's disappointing because we don't want to see that. But I'd rather see guys working hard to get out there to help their teammates than guys not working at all, sort of standing still and just open space to run through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So look, an incredible performance by Cleary, really mature. Just waited for his moments.
I think the 24 points might be the second highest of all time. Behind Ryan Girdler.
8 from 8.
Yeah,
8 from 8. I mean, what a kicking game from Cleary. Absolutely incredible. So massive congratulations to Cleary. Still only 24 years old. What
are they going to do for the centres? Talk to me.
Talk to me, Kempy. Look, I'm going to give the punter time to marinate because we're going to go to a break.
All right, yes, we're
going to go to a break. Make sure to text in. We've got 1,000 texts to get to. So text in 0457 736 736 or give us a call 1300 01 1170 and ask Smithy your origin questions. We love you calling in, guys, so make sure to call in. Plus, we can give prizes away. But after the break, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty for New South Wales. Beautiful conundrum they have. I hope you've been marinating because we are going to get to the question of the centres for New South Wales. Really, really interesting because usually, nearly in 99% of situations, you would go, why would you even think about changing the centres? But the Blues are in a really strange position where they've got this freak of nature of Latrell Mitchell, who has, on multiple occasions, blown the Origin arena apart. And they have this tough situation where Whiten also was their best player in game one.
He was.
Burton had a fantastic debut. Crichton was solid. I don't know what the answer is, Smithy. Maybe you know better than I who to select in that position.
Well, let's just put a line through Latrell first.
Wow. Okay.
Let's put a line through
Big
him.
Trelly. Even if he comes out and kills it.
He won't be there.
Oh, wow.
No, he
Big
won't
call.
be there.
Okay.
Freddie's not going to pick him. Hasn't played enough football.
Mm.
Now we get down to the tough bit. So Burton played really well in his first game. Jack Whiten, as you mentioned, he was New South Wales' best player in game one. And if he hadn't have contracted COVID, he would have been there for game two.
Yep.
Okay. So you'd like to think he's a chance. Stephen Crichton was on the bench for game one, got limited time. It took a Tony Staggs shoulder injury for him to get onto the field in game one. So this is what I'm going to toss up.
Okay.
Okay. I reckon they'll make one change,
Yes.
and that'll be Sifat Talakai.
Okay.
Okay. He'll be taken out of the 17, and that spot will be taken by Jack Whiten.
Wow.
He'll come back in on the bench.
Now, the first question I think people are going to ask is, do you think that makes New South Wales a bit light on the bench if they lose, say, a front rower? You know, can Whiten play? You know, would you have to move Crichton into the front row, Whiten onto an edge? What would you do there?
Well, I think you can move Angus Crichton into the ruck
Yep.
easily.
Yeah.
He's played there before.
Okay.
That's no dramas at all. And then Jack Whiten, he plays every position in the back line. Plus, you could chuck him in at 13, or even back row if you needed to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So that's what I feel.
It's
There's just a little heads up, all you New South Wales fans.
So you reckon that's the way it's boom?
Yeah, Freddie listens to our show too, so he'll be
He
listening.
listens. Of course he listens, Freddie. Of course he listens. Two Queenslanders talking about footy.
Oh, here we are picking the New South Wales side.
We'll be in the bit. You know, he's going to say, "Well, Smithy and Kempy said to bring him in." We should.
No,
bring
but
him
that's
in.
what I reckon.
Yeah.
Well, given Jack Whiten, Jack Whiten's performance in game one, as we mentioned, he was their best player.
Yeah.
And no doubt would have been there game two if he hadn't have contracted COVID, and would have been close to being able to get over there too, outside of sort of isolation protocols and whatnot. I reckon he'll be there.
Yeah.
He'll take Talakai's spot, I reckon.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny you say that, Smithy, because on my show on Monday, I said the same thing.
There you go.
I said Whiten will take Talakai's spot.
Yep.
Because I just think that Talakai did absolutely nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. But when you look at his minutes, he was about, I think, 13 minutes. He had 4 runs and I think 5 or 6 tackles.
Yep.
And so as long as, people stay injury free, because, I mean, you can't be assuming there's going to be injuries because then you'd just be picking. It would just be terrible. So hard to pick for that.
Yep.
So I just asked the question of we know Freddie really likes what Whiten brings. And are you telling me that Whiten couldn't have come on and done something similar to what Talakai done in game 2?
Oh, easily.
I think he could have.
Easily.
And so
because it was minimal.
It was minimal. It was there,
Yeah.
and that, again, not because anything that Talakai did wrong. It was just
right.
minimal involvement.
Circumstance of the game.
Absolutely. And so I think that it would have been different if Talakai had been used for, let's just say, 30 to 40 minutes. I think that would really change. Do you really want Whiten in the middle out there for 30, 40 minutes? Can his body handle that? But I think with the Jake Trbojević's ability to play for 70 minutes, 71 minutes he actually played for game 2, that absolutely gives them the opportunity to bring Whiten on for Talakai.
Yep.
And I agree with you. I think that they'll keep Appy, they'll keep Cook,
Yep.
they'll go Crichton, they'll have Whiten, and then who was that last one? So Angus Crichton,
Yep.
Whiten,
Yep.
Cook, Paulo.
Junior
Paulo. I keep getting it wrong. Sorry about that, Junior. I'll just call it Junior from now on, Junior. But yeah, so I think that's the way they'll go. And I actually don't mind it because you put Whiten there as well. If he does come on, he can bring a bunch of speed through the ruck in the kind of the new way of rugby league, especially how quick Origin's been this year.
Yep.
And I think game 3 will probably be closer to the speed of game 1.
Yeah.
I think game 2's the track looked super heavy. Was it really slippery over there?
It was quite greasy because it was really still, and it was a perfect day. So there's no cloud cover. It got a little bit chilly that evening at kickoff. Although kickoff was 10 to 6. I think I kicked off about 6 o'clock local time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I went out onto the ground before the match, and it was greasy then.
Yeah.
And in the middle, because it's an AFL oval, they played AFL on there on the Friday or the Saturday night. I think it must have been the Friday night. And so the center circle where they have all the rucks and the center bounce and whatnot, that was quite bare. There wasn't much grass on it.
Okay.
Wasn't a lot of coverage. So yeah, we seen a few guys sort of slipping and sliding. Yeah, we'd like to see. I think it'll be a pretty fast track. Hopefully it's dry and Brizzy.
Oh,
we don't
hopefully.
get any rain.
Mate, I cannot wait for Game 3. Now, we're going to head to the news, and after the news, we'll keep breaking down Origin, talking about Game 3, talking about Suncorp selling out. Plus, we'll also talk about the Dolphins' big signing later in the show, and we'll preview Round 16. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. It's time now to break down the best hands thanks to Schnitz. Oh, my God, the best schnitzel in all the land.
Oh, how good is it?
Oh, man.
Can we check with Tom? Tom, can you let us know
Yeah,
if
it's
we...
been a few weeks we haven't had any,
I
actually.
reckon it's due for
Yeah,
some schnitties,
surely.
wasabi
Feel like we're not
after the
being-
show.
I feel like we're not being appreciated.
Oh, mate, Tom, what's he doing?
What's going on there, Tom?
Come on, Tommy, let us know, mate. Anyway, best hands, thanks to Schnitz. And, of course, it was the rep round, so it's all from the rep footy over the weekend. 1 point went to Dylan Brown. He's 20-metre... Was it a floater? Would you say it was a floater?
Oh,
Can you get a
mate.
floater 20 metres?
Mate, whatever it was good.
It was in the air for a while.
Yes.
Over to Ronaldo Mulatalo to score his first try for the Kiwis. Outstanding. Dylan Brown, he was good, wasn't he, for the Kiwis?
Oh, mate.
Very good.
That Kiwi side.
Actually, I was going to say,
Mm.
I was going to say they were really good
Yeah.
against Tonga.
I think it's the
who was
best
a
they've
great
looked in a while.
outfit too.
Yeah.
Tonga.
Absolutely. I think that spine, you could have other players that were bigger names that have been in their spine, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's probably the most informed spine they may have, at least since
In a
I've
long
been
time.
watching, in a very long time.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree with you, mate. I agree. 2 points goes to Jackson Polo. His flick pass for David Nofaluma, who scored his second try against the Cook Islands. That was another great mate. I love the footy over the weekend.
I love rep round.
How good is it?
Yeah,
I'm sad it's gone.
So apparently Abdul's come out and said that they're trying to work in actual tours, and so more games, not just cancel it and then there's no international footy.
Okay.
They're trying to work in more games. So
Yeah, fair
fingers
enough.
crossed, because I thought it was fantastic.
Yep, it was. It was great. Plus the women's footy across the weekend too. Women's
Mate,
Origin.
What
women's
about Jada
girls under 19s?
Jada Taylor's try?
Yeah.
Length of the field, 100
Mate,
metres.
crazy.
How good.
Crazy. It was such a great game of footy. New South Wales won that as well. Just
Won all
fine
four
print.
of them, but whatever.
Fine print. 3 points though. Got to go to Matty Burton. His pick up from Nathan Cleary.
Oh,
Just that,
yeah.
that kick how we spoke about. He stepped back, kicked the ball in behind Cherry Evans, and that pickup was first class, and it was the first try for the Blues. So 3 points to Matty Burton.
That was best hands thanks to Snitch. Bite into golden, delicious, handcrafted Snitch. After the break, we'll wrap up the first hour. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Hey, Goats, it's the TP5 Bomber here. I've been cynical on Matt Burton in the past, but he's on a trajectory to be New South Wales 5'8" next year, considering Latrell and Turbo will be back, ? So is he on a trajectory? Sorry. First of all, what a shot. That was a hole in one.
The TP5 bomber.
Mate, it's the best ball. It beats the number one ball.
It does.
What a shot, man.
Yep.
Seriously, I might go play a bit of golf after this, Smithy.
Get involved.
Might get me
Tailor-made.
TP5 golf balls out.
Yep.
Now, what do you reckon, Smithy?
Oh, I reckon. I agree. I think he's on the up. And I think we had another little question, so we might tie it in as well, and we might get your thoughts quickly. Do you reckon he'll overtake Luai as the number 6 in coming years?
No. Penrith, there's a reason why Penrith, they know how important Luai is in pairing with
New South Wales,
with
though?
Cleary. Yeah, but keep it together.
Okay.
And I actually think Luai's been underrated this series. I thought he was pretty good in game 1.
Yep.
I thought he was good in game 2.
Yep. That's a fair point.
But
he has been good.
I do see him stealing that 14 spot when everyone's fit. I do see him getting that 14 spot
There you go.
to get him in the squad. We're going to head to the break. After the break, we've got a bunch of round preview for you. We've got prizes to give away. Make sure to text in, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Now, let's get into more Origin chat. We've got the women's game New South Wales winning 20-14. Tonegado was absolutely outstanding.
Yep.
Isabel Kelly was absolutely outstanding.
Yep.
And Caitlin Johnson was also incredible for the Blues.
Did Isabel Kelly? She ended up winning Player of the Match.
Yes, she
I think
did.
it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well done to her. She she won she scored the the try that sealed the deal for New South Wales late in the game. She was fantastic, played really well all game. Emma Torregado, she scored the first try for the Blues. I just thought it was a really great game of footy. Really great game of footy. And from the men's State of Origin team point of view, I can tell you right now, Campy, the entire playing group and the staff sat down and watched that game.
How good.
Loved it.
Yeah. Mate, it was a cracking clash. And also, there's a bit of, there's like narratives being built now. You know, last year's game, they had that penalty on the buzzer that Queensland won it.
Yes.
And now, obviously, New South Wales,
Yep.
you know, they came back and won it. I also think, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the New South Wales coach had actually maybe lost the last two series, so there might have been a little bit of pressure on her as a coach.
Keeping the job. Yep.
And then they won the game. Thoughts about going to 3 games? Now, obviously, I think everyone wants 3 games for the women.
Yep.
But I guess it's the viability now when it comes to affording it and all that kind of stuff. What do you think the best plan, I guess, is to get that game 3 sorted?
Well, it's a difficult one. What they've tossed is that confirmed 2 games?
I think it's confirmed
it's
2
silly.
games. That's strange
It's
to me.
got to be 1 or 3.
That's what I'm not understanding.
It's got to be 1 or 3. How can you have 2?
Because it's just going to end in a draw, like every.
Well, it can.
Like it'd be because like with
There's
Origin
a possibility.
Well,
there's no possibility of drawing.
Yeah.
Unless you can't.
You can't
because you got to go extra time.
Yeah. Whereas, but like, you know, for example, how often do we see in Origin in the men's game 1, a team wins, then game 2, the team that lost is way hungrier because they just lost.
Yes.
And so I think it's just going to increase the likelihood of that. You lose, the team, you know, comes out.
No, that's a fair point.
That's
a fair point.
Anyway, but it is interesting. I understand it costs a lot of money to put these on. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But I just think that I reckon if we're going to do 2, we either do 1 or 3. The 2 one's a bit strange for me. I don't understand that. But what do you think?
No, I think it's 1 or 3.
Yeah.
I just think it can't be 2. Like, that's just not what Origin's about.
Yeah.
Like you can't win. Like it'd be such a deflating end to a series. Say it's 2 games, right? It'd be so deflating as players and as fans. That let's just say New South Wales win game 1 and then Queensland win game 2, and you just go, oh, okay,
yeah, cool.
Okay, what do we do? Is it last year's winner
takes it again, or
retains the shield, or is it for and against across the 2 games?
Drop goal off. Just 2 drop goals.
Let's do that. Look, it's got to be 1 or 3.
Yeah,
it's got to be 1 or 3, and I think the players are behind that too. I think they like the idea of more games, but I think an Origin series, like it has to be 1 or 3.
You know, I've been thinking about this actually because we spoke about it on Monday on the Bloke in a Bar podcast. I've been thinking about this quite a bit because I actually think, you know, because right now the women's game is in a position where we need to invest in it to see if it's going to generate something. Right. Just like any business, you know, you look at it at a business and you go, okay, does this have potential to generate large amounts of revenue if I invest capital in it?
Yep.
And I think that if you look at Origin, that's the best way to generate hype for the women's game. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the NRLW. I think it's getting better each year. And I find myself watching more games every single year.
Yep.
But I think Origin, if you're looking at where's bang for buck, I think that's probably where your bang for buck is because we're so passionate about it.
And so why don't they make it a 3-game series and play it as a curtain raiser to the men?
Yeah. And just get eyeballs. Just get eyeballs watching the game. Yeah, yeah. So
it's got to be 3. 1 or 3.
Really, really interesting.
And just quick one, Isabel Kelly. That's she's the first player in the women's State of Origin to win 2 Player of this.
Wow.
Yep, she won her first one in 2018.
Listen to her stats, Smithy. 190 metres run, 78 post contact. But listen to this. 13 tackle breaks.
Oh, what a machine.
That is more than double the next best tackle break. Actually, no, there's only one other player that has 8. But on her side, she doubled everyone else tackle breaks wise. And she also got a try. But anyway, the good thing is the women, they're doing their part of the job, which is exciting footy.
Yep.
Really enjoyed it. Now let's get to tonight's clash.
Righto.
We've got Manly versus Storm at 4 Pines Park. Smithy, the Battle of Brookie.
Yes.
Walk me through it. How do you feel about this one?
There's a really big game now that Cam Munster's been ruled out. I was really surprised actually to see him named. Craig Bellamy's he's playing some silly buggers there.
Yep.
He's playing mind games with his great mate Desi.
He's the best, Belly. Eh? He's the best.
And Felice Kafusi out as well. He's over in America seeing his father, who's a little bit crook. So we send our best wishes to the Kafusi family. And we hope that that everyone's all right there. But this is a big one because there's been a reshuffle. Ryan Pappenhausen, your man.
Love him.
Pappenhausen,
I love him.
He's back. Has not played for a long, long time.
I saw him at the airport yesterday. His hair looks better than ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he's had some time.
Mate, it looks replenished. He looks like Pantene Pro V, shampoo, conditioner, all the good stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it's flourishing.
Really?
Yes.
Well, he hasn't played since round 9, so he's just been taking care of the
Of the main.
The do.
What is it? What would you like? How much would you have to get paid, Smithy, to run out with a chop like that for Origin Queensland captaining your state?
Mate, I'd have to find some product to grow it first. Actually, I could get the mullet going.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's
Just shave
thick
the top,
and flowing at the back.
Yeah.
What are the young kids? What do they call them these days? A scullet. There's
scullet.
a mullet. There's a scullet.
Yeah, party at the back.
My kids have told me about them. The scullet.
Do it.
Some rank haircut. I
You
don't
know
what it is.
Bloke in a bar will sponsor that mullet.
Really?
Yeah. Let's speak. Your people speak to my people.
I'm actually thinking about growing a mo.
Really?
Yeah.
You
want me to get a beard, eh?
Yeah. Oh,
You want me to bring the
mate,
beard
get
back?
the beard back. You're more of a man with a beard, Smithy. You're 10% more of a bloke, honestly.
Really?
Yes.
Has that been measured?
That's been measured, mate. Now, I know that you had that one game and you Storm lost, so you
we got
shaved
beat,
it.
gone.
But that's just an anomaly, mate, in the Matrix. That's all that was.
Oh, so it was just all up in the mind.
It's all up in the mind, mate.
It's just, okay.
And also, radio loves a bit of pizzazz.
Righto.
So get the beard back.
I might get a mo. I might start with a mo. I know I can grow a beard. I've never grown a mo.
Okay, let's go,
You
Mo.
know what? I'll do a mo for Movember.
Yes, that is awesome.
Right,
That
I'll
is
do
awesome.
it for Movember. Are we talking about footy here?
Yes, sorry,
Yeah,
apologies.
sorry.
There's a big game.
Sorry,
tonight.
guys.
Sorry.
Yeah, so this is a really big one. A lot of reshuffling happening with the Storm. A little bit going on with Manly too. Josh Aloiai, he's out because of concussion from the Test match on the weekend.
Yeah, that was a tough one, that one.
So Kepi starts. Tanyela Paseka, he goes onto the bench. But all other Seagulls rep players have been named. So, and playing at 4 points, I know they're outsiders, but I don't know. Like, if I was playing for the Seagulls, I'm tipping Storm to win.
Yes.
But if I'm playing, what I'm saying is, if I'm playing for Manly, I'd look at this as our best opportunity this year. You'll get to beat Melbourne.
At home.
I don't know if
without
you
Munster.
agree with that, mate. Well, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, really interesting. So Nick Meaney has been named at 6, which is interesting. Brandon Smith being moved to 13, so I wonder if he's going to play more of a very, because Meaney's ball playing isn't as strong as, say, a Munster.
Yep.
King moved to 10. I agree. It's a great opportunity. You know, you've got Hughes and that, playing after the weekend. Who knows? He could be fatigued from all the travel.
Yep.
So it is a great opportunity. I will say, Melbourne, where do you put Manly right now? Because they're in a really strange spot. They're just outside the 8, but I think most pundits would say they're a finals footy side, even without Tom Trbojevic.
Yeah.
Like, are they having a satisfactory year, a great year, an okay year, a not so okay?
Well, mate, they're sitting 10th, okay? But they're one win out of the 8. That's how tight it is between 7th and, you'd even say, mate, you could even go down to the way the Bulldogs are playing. Like, you could even toss them in. If they win another 1 or 2, they're a chance. But I know they're playing the Sharks, which we'll look at a bit later on. But I don't know. They're just... I think they've underperformed, to be honest, Manly. And I know they've dealt with a lot of injuries this year, particularly, their main man, Tommy, being out. But, yeah, I think they're a better side than what they're, sitting 10th. Yeah. But say you win 1 or 2 of the matches that they've lost, they're sitting 7th.
Yeah.
So it's a big turnaround. That's what I'm talking about. That group of, say, 5 or 6 teams there, from 8th to 12th, let's just say. The 16 points, 7th, Rabbitohs, down to the Knights, sitting on 10 points, who are 12th. So a couple of different results, and that whole list of teams that gets flipped on its head.
Well, I think the Broncos are a perfect example. We had those pretty big losses, but then we just had that great run, and all of a sudden we're solidly within the 8, just because of 2 or 3 really tight games that we managed to get the win.
Yeah.
Where do you put the Storm? They're in a really interesting spot too, because at this stage last year, they were breaking all
flying.
sorts of records.
Yeah.
This year, it's been a bit patchy, I think.
Yeah, well, because they've had multiple key players spend some time on the sideline.
Yes.
And I think this year, more so than ever, I think their depth has been tested.
True.
Throughout this season so far. Still far and away, with Penrith, and you got to throw the Cowboys in there.
Yeah.
Like the Cowboys and Storm are on the same amount of wins. They've got 11 wins each.
Wow.
They've been the standout performers all year. But yeah, I just think that they got to get through this rep period. There's still another Origin game to go where they'll have several players involved, and then once they start getting some sort of consistency as far as their lineup goes, and going into the back end of the year, I think Xavier Coates will be back in another sort of month.
Yeah.
They'll get him back. I'm not sure about Christian Welsh. I think there was some glimmer of hope that he may feature like very late in the year, possibly finals.
Yeah.
I don't know
He's a big out. I don't think it's spoken about that much.
Well, it's not, mate.
Yeah.
It's not, because they've got a star-studded forward pack. But the work that he does, the little subtle things that he does for that team, I think maybe they might be missing at crucial periods of games. But look, I think they'll be too strong tonight. But as I said, Manly, this is the best chance they'll get at beating Melbourne. I don't think they play them again. I'm not sure if they do, but this is as good a chance as they got. Jerome Hughes will run the show. Nick Meaney's there. He's a great runner of the football. He's been in great form since joining the Melbourne Storm. He'll just look for opportunities to run the ball, and get Justin Nolan and Kenny Bromwich the ball on that left-hand side when they got some space on that left edge. But Jerome Hughes he'll run the show. He's been
so good.
He has been so good. Like I'm tossing him up there with the top 3 players in the game.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd absolutely agree. And I think that if he let's put it this way, I reckon if he played Origin, you would genuinely be competing for. I know you just said he's top 3 player in the game, but I think the general public would say he's a top 3 player in the game. Whereas I think a lot of people, just because they don't play in that Origin arena.
Right. Yeah, if you're not an Origin player, you sort of get like it's a little bit unnoticed. You go a little bit under the radar, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's been outstanding.
And for like his consistency over the last 24 months.
Yeah.
Just mate, and when you actually think about what he's managed to achieve, it's almost, I can't think of another player that outside of, obviously Cooper Cronk.
Yeah.
That has gone from a totally different style of play at fullback to a guy that literally marshals the troops and gets players around the field. His improvement is incredible. And on top of all of that, his improvement from couldn't get a start at the Titans, couldn't get a start at the Cowboys, to a top 3 player in the game. It's incredible. So huge fan of Hughes. Now on to the next game. We've got the Knights versus the Titans. Kalen Ponga has been ruled out after suffering a Category 1 concussion in Origin 2, replaced by Tex Hoy. Daniel Saifidi and Bradman Best are listed among the reserves and could make their returns. Titans, David Fafita will return from a knee injury on the bench, while captain Tino Fa'asuama-Alawi has been named to back up after Origin.
He's a machine, Tino.
Mate,
machine.
Goes all day.
He's back for the Titans again. He's having a captain's knock this year for them, although they're going no good at all. They're
without him,
last.
Without him, I honestly am worried about that side. That's how important he is to them.
Yeah, well, they've only had the 3 wins.
Oof.
Like, do they get them without him? Like, could they be sitting 0 wins?
Like, honestly,
from 15 starts,
which is crazy to think. Like the Titans, is this a situation where the plan was always go young because we looked at their side? It's a young spine, young squad. Do you just stick to the plan, or do you? I know they've brought in Foreign.
Yep.
But do you think more recruitment needs to be made for the Titans, or do you think that just stick with the plan?
Yeah, well, we've spoken about this in different clubs, okay, with these young players, like particularly with guys, at the Dragons at the moment. Whether you give them a go or they've been chopping and changing in and out of the teams. It's really hard to give guys experience when you keep taking them out of first grade. So, I think stick with it. If it needs to be, you need to be thinking down the track. I understand, you want to be winning games now, but you got to be thinking too, like, okay, what the experience that they gain now, what's that going to do for us in the future? Or if we just keep chopping and changing, is that building anything for us? Is that building any type of combinations? Is it building any type of stability for the football side? I just think you got to take a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain. I think that's what it is.
Well, I mean, you look at Panthers did it perfectly. I mean, they're the best example of we're struggling a little bit outside the 8, and then boom, and then the Broncos, obviously.
Roosters?
Yep, Roosters stuck with it.
Roosters got the wooden spoon in, was it like 2015 or 16?
16, they had a tough year. I think they came 15th.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, it's almost last.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, bang. Like, they 2 premierships in a row.
Yeah.
Like, they went back to back. So, I think sometimes you just got to take a little bit of pain early for what you're building for down the track. And the teams that do it right, like, you can have, like, sustained success.
Yeah.
Like, you can have some really, really, like, good years, like a chunk of them.
Absolutely.
I'm not just saying a one-off, flash in the pan sort of a season. Like, you can put together some really strong seasons where you can enjoy a lot of victories.
And because you're putting systems in place,
Yeah,
and you bring in other players through that same system. You understand that it's going to take a year or two. The Broncos are a good example at the moment. Now, I know it's only been this year they've been going well, but they stuck with that young forward pack. Matter of fact, they doubled down. They moved on their older, experienced guys. And said this is the future, and it seems to be working. This game, who do you think gets the W? Titans or Newcastle?
I'm going to say I've very rarely gone against the Titans, but I'm going to go Newcastle at home.
Okay, knew it is.
Yep.
Now, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we've got Bailey's Ladder. Who is climbing the Bailey's Ladder? We've also got the rest of the round to preview and your text and calls. Call in 1300 01 1170 or text 0457 736 736, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Time to break down which young players are climbing up the Bailey Ladder. Worksite trusted for over 60 years, 60 decades. Incredible.
That's a long time.
Long time, Smithy.
Yes, 3 nominees. First one, Jada Taylor. I think we mentioned her a little bit earlier, but fullback, star for the Blues in their 22-6 win, scored 2 tries, including a length of the field try from her own in goal. Like craziness. Like, just unbelievable. So she is most definitely a player of the future. Like, she could play for, like, the legit women's Blues. She's
with the Roosters too, I think, NRLW.
There you go. So we'll see her maybe in the NRLW season later on this season.
Yeah, I think so.
Big possibility.
And Roosters just won the comp too.
Particularly after a performance like that.
Yeah.
Great effort by Jada. Number 2, Sania Taruva, another fullback. Played. He's only 19, playing for the Panthers this weekend off the bench. Scored 2 tries for Fiji, ran for over 250 metres, 7 tackle breaks against Papua New Guinea. That was a great game, eh?
Oh,
another
so
great
exciting.
Game of footy.
Yep.
So good. I love watching those Pacific nations play against each other. And third, I don't know if you've seen the under-19s.
I did.
Male game, another New South Wales result.
Ouch.
Well done.
Ouch.
This was played at Leichhardt.
Yes.
And on the Thursday night, as was the 19s women's as well. And third nomination goes to Jonah Pezzett. He's tied up with Storm. So he signed, he's got this year and next year to go. He's a halfback. He's on the up. But he was outstanding for the Blues in their 32-4 victory over Queensland. He had 4 try assists.
Wow.
And picked up man of the match for that effort.
So good. So good.
He's very good.
How surprising. 2 of the best players over the weekend that are outside the top 17 squads are both from Penrith and the Storm and the Roosters with the women's as well.
There you go.
It just shows you that,
good systems
create good players. That was thanks to Bailey Ladders bringing safety and efficiency to the worksite for over 60 years. 60 years.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
How come we don't have the ladder over here?
Yeah, look, we need to get the ladder back in shot.
Anyway, we'll do that next week.
After the news, we'll continue our round 16 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Thanks to the SEN app. Download the SEN app now for free in the App Store, and you can listen to us anywhere, anytime. Also, subscribe to the Captain's Run on Spotify and Apple, and you'll listen to us any time. As well, grab a case of Bloke and a Bar beer.
Yep.
Bloke and a Bar beer is now in every single Celebrations, Bottle-O, IGA Plus liquor and Porter's liquor in New South Wales and ACT. It's also in every single Celebration Superstore in Queensland. And Bloke Midi, all new Bloke Mid Strength, is in every single Liquor Legends in Queensland, New South Wales, ACT and Victoria. Go to our website and we've got a store locator. But let's get to our round 16 preview, Smithy. We've got the Penny Panthers versus the Sydney Roosters. All of the Panthers representative players have been named and remain unchanged after their round 15 win against the Warriors. I wanted to ask you quickly, just the comments I made earlier about Ivan Cleary last year came out and basically said they've created programs where instead of using games to rest, they use in weeks to rest and training and they watch the players' fatigue levels and all that kind of stuff. How did you handle, Origin? You did it so many times. How did you handle it every single year?
Well, in the back half of my career, that was the way we did it. So Craig Bellamy gave us time off for training. In the early days, there was no time off. We got back from Origin on a Thursday, straight back into training.
Oh, ouch!
Play that weekend and then straight back to training Monday morning.
No,
it was just relentless.
Yeah,
and at times. To be fair to Craig, because I know he listens to the Captain's Run. To be fair to Craig, he used to offer games off.
Okay,
but what? That's the reason you play.
Yeah.
That's the
fun part.
That's the fun part, and it took some convincing Craig that, hey, listen, mate, like that's the fun part, but that's the easy part also.
100%
is playing.
Way easier than training.
Way easier, and that's where your fatigue comes from. Is from the day-to-day grind.
Yeah.
So from getting in, like doing weights, getting out on the field, doing like an hour and a half, 2 hour session on the field, doing some meetings.
Contact.
So from the time you arrive at training at 7, then you leave at 4. Like it's a normal day's work.
Yeah.
And as all of our listeners out there working long hours, like you're fatigued at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So if you're able to think about minimising the work you're doing during the week and say, hey, mate, get your energy levels ready for the game. You're ready to go. You're up and about and you're ready to go for that. So that's the way we did things in the back half of my career as far as backing up from Origin. So what would happen was we play Wednesday night, wouldn't be needed until Captain's Run, and we do very minimal at Captain's Run. You might just get out and just get moving. For myself, I do a few goal kicks, play the next day, and then after that, right, he would give us the next half of the next week off as well.
Oh, how good.
To rest.
So till about Wednesday?
Yeah.
And just maybe some recovery.
So say you played Saturday night, you'd have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. And then you're back into the next game. Oh, mate, it was so good.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how, I feel like when we were coming through, it was almost more is more. Like the harder we can train, the better we're going to be.
Yeah.
Whereas like all the science came in, it's like, we'll actually know sometimes bringing it back a bit.
Training smarter, not harder.
Oh, absolutely. remember when we used to do like 50, 100 repeat? And there'd be blokes spewing over themselves running.
Oh, mate.
It was just ruthless.
A quick story, right? So we had a winger, Semi Tajalala, okay? He's a Fijian winger, great man, Semi. So we were doing this preseason stuff, and it was that repeat effort stuff, right?
Yeah.
We were doing hundreds.
Oh.
Anyway, we were about 6 or 8 weeks into the preseason. We'd been training since like November. And it was this hot day in Melbourne. Anyway, he fell over. He started falling behind the group, right?
Yeah.
And he actually fell over. And like Craig went over, he's like, mate, get up. Like, you're letting the team down, get up, blah, blah, blah. He ended up getting to his feet and getting back and like doing his best. Anyway, we found out he ended up going to hospital, collapsed lung.
Holy moly.
Collapsed lung.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that'll explain it.
You know what I mean? Like, this shows how far the game has come.
Oh, mate.
And that's before, like, there was no GPS.
No.
Units on your back tracking how far you've run. It's just like, mate, how long have they been going? Nah, they go another half hour.
Yeah. It would just be hours of fitness. Hours of fitness. And also, it wasn't like, oh, okay, we've been going for 37 minutes. Because now it's,
it's
7 minutes.
To the second.
8 minutes. It wasn't like, back in the day, it was literally, No, we've got 50 hundreds to do.
Yeah.
And even if you've got to the time you're supposed to get to, if there's blokes that haven't finished, they would be on the field for 30 to 40 minutes longer, spewing over themselves, crawling, walking. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Thank God I was a little whippet. I was about 72 kilos. It was all good. I just got towed up in contact. That was the only bad thing. I remember I came back Broncos called me back. I quit footy. They called me back.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't done any training because I'd quit footy. First day, they got me in and we did full contact first day. And I hadn't done anything for like 6 months.
How'd you go?
Put it this way, not the day of the session. So I did the session. I was terrible. I was terrible at the best of times. I was terrible with no training. The next day, I was still spewing. The next day, I was in the toilet. So I rock up to training. I'm in the toilet throwing up. I go out to the head trainer at Broncos. I'm like, man, that was a pretty tough session. I'm still throwing up from it. It was like, oh, yeah, sweet. And that was it. Boom. Did fitness again that day. So good times, good times.
Wow.
There, Penny Panthers versus the Roosters. We got Kiri, concussion. We got Hargreaves, hamstring.
Yep.
Both still out. Victor Radley will play his first match since Magic Round. Hutchinson will once again partner Sam Walker in the halves. However, there's reports breaking last night that Joey Manu may move into the 6th jersey with Paul Momorowski coming into the centre. Thoughts on this game?
Will that happen?
I think it will.
Yeah.
I think that, the Roosters are in a position where they've got to try something.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't seem to be clicking at the moment. And sometimes, my opinion in footy, you've just got to put your form players in key positions and see what happens.
Yeah. And he's coming off a massive game.
401 metres.
400 metres. That's just crazy. So he's on a high, Joey Manu. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Paul Mommers going back to the centres. With those changes in mind, will that be enough to beat Penrith at home? They've lost one game there in the last 22 or 23 matches. Full complement of players. It's back to their stronger squad available. I just think Penrith get this one done.
Where do you, I know it's really hard to compare years and all that kind of stuff, but just a bit of fun.
Yep.
Where do you rate this Penrith Panthers squad compared to, say, in the last 2 decades of footy?
They're as good a side as any of the great ones that have come through in the last 10 to 20 years.
For sure.
When you think about the great Broncos sides, the Roosters, Melbourne, teams that had sustained success, not just sort of one-offs. They're up there. The way you compare them is their record. Their record is just incredible. 2.5 years of dominance. Incredible. In the last 3 seasons, 2019, 20 and 19, 20, 21. Even this year. 2020. Yep. Sorry, I went back 1 year too far.
Well, actually, at the back end of 2019, they actually went on a run. So
into the finals. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So let's just go 20, 21 and this year. It's something they've lost 4 games?
Yeah. And I think 3 of them Cleary wasn't there. 3 of them Cleary, it was because it was Origin or something like that.
It's just, I'm not sure if there's many teams in the competition that have that record over.
In the modern era.
No, not in the last 20 years. Yeah. Have dropped 5 or 6 games in 3 seasons.
So
it's
impressive.
Crazy. But Penrith too strong in this one.
Now onto the Bulldogs versus the Sharkies. I actually think this is a great clash.
Can the Doggies win 3 in a row?
I think it hasn't just been the fact that they've been winning; it's the way they've been winning over the past few weeks. And I just think Potter has unlocked that team. Burton looks more confident than ever. Addo-Carr is confident. The combination between the two. Kyle Flanagan is laying the platform for Burton, and Burton's had some time to build some relationships with key players. He's being kept in the same position.
Yep.
Whereas for a long time there, Flanagan just couldn't get a crack, and all of a sudden, now they've had Flanagan and Burton together for a while.
Yep.
Averillo goes back to fullback. I think Averillo's their long-term fullback. I think he's been outstanding.
Yep.
How do you see this one playing out?
This is going to be a great game. Sharkies have got all their rep players back, and both sides are unchanged.
Yeah.
From round 15. So, you'd love to see the Doggies win this one.
Could you imagine?
I just for the game and for the Doggies. Interesting one though. Mick Potter won't be there. Doggies coach. He's contracted COVID.
Fella. Hope he's all good.
Yeah, hope you're all good, Mick. Hope you recover quickly. But interesting one to see how they go here because he's got them up and going, like you said,
Mate.
And it makes a difference when they're not there.
Yeah.
Unless you're Penrith. When Ivan Cleary, we hope Ivan's well as well.
Yeah,
He's been battling some health
for a while,
issues this year. But, Cameron Ciraldo comes in and I think that team pretty much runs itself at the moment.
I think they got such good systems that
they get to the game and they hit the on switch and away they go. But I'm gonna I'm gonna go Sharkies here.
Yeah.
I think from a storyline point of view, you'd like to see the Doggies go 3 in a row. I think the Sharkies might get this. They'll get this one done.
Well, with the Sharkies, they're in a really interesting position because they're actually in the top 4.
Yeah.
But they've been patchy this last probably 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, because they've had to deal with a few. I think there's been a couple of games where a lot of the squad have been dealing with the flu. I think they've been hit hard by the flu. It's gone through a lot of the competition, and it's had a bit of an effect on the Sharkies in particular. I think they've played a couple of games where they've sort of battled the flu and haven't been at their best. I think one of those games was when they went up to Brizzy earlier in the year, and the Bronx smashed them.
Yep.
They put some points on them. So yeah, they've been patchy, but they're sitting 4th, and when they've played well, they've played really, really good footy. I think they'll be looking at this one Saturday Arvo 3:00. I think they'll be looking this as, hey, let's get our season back on track.
Yeah,
let's get it back where we were going in that first sort of 6 weeks.
They're such a good testament to getting wins early in the season. It just sets you up so well. Because if they didn't have those early wins, they'd be fighting at around the 8 mark.
Yep.
Because it's so tight this year. But because they did the hard yards early, got the points on the board, they've given themselves the luxury to battle through this flu season that's ravaged their squad.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think you cannot underestimate how banking wins early can pay off in the back end of the year.
Yeah, massively.
Because you just don't know. You got to make the most of what you got early on, because you just don't know what rep footy's going to do to you. What injuries as the players' bodies get tired, they pick up injuries. There may be suspensions, and that could happen early too.
Yeah.
But that was the way, I know, the Melbourne Storm always prepared, was be at your very best from round 1, ready to go.
Well, on the opposite side of the scale, you look at a team like Raiders, who actually have been really good the past 6 to 8 weeks, but because they struggled so much at the start of the season,
they're just clawing their way.
They're sitting 11th, fighting for that 8 spot.
They're trying to fight their way up.
Exactly. Yep. Where I would honestly say Raiders' form at the moment is definitely a top 8 form side.
Oh, completely.
And so really interesting that. So you're going the Sharkies to get the win.
I've got Sharkies.
Do you think that the Doggies should re-sign Mick Potter? Like, what do you think's happening in this whole merry-go-round with Ciraldo declining with the Tigers? It looks like he's going to re-sign with the Panthers.
Yeah.
Potter unlocks the boys. What do you reckon?
What's the latest with the Dogs?
The latest
things gone a bit quiet there, or
they're leaning towards a re-signing of Potter.
Oh, why wouldn't you?
I really like what he's been doing, and also I think his time at the Tigers. At the time, it was saying that it was underachieving, but then when you put it into context with how poorly the club has gone, he actually didn't go anywhere near as bad as people thought.
Yeah.
And so I wonder whether he's a coach that just needs another crack.
Yeah. Is there still noise around Freddie?
Well, Freddie's
joining the Dogs, or has he flat out said no?
No, well, he said basically anything can happen. So
the door's ajar.
The door's ajar. Maybe it's negotiation. I don't know. As in negotiations, you always want to keep some options open to increase the market want for you.
He's learned from Craig Bellamy.
Oh, the best in the business. Craig Bellamy retired 20 years ago.
I'm retiring. This is it. This is my last time. Actually, I might join another club.
Seriously?
Storm. Ching ching.
Seriously, my debut
I think he's
year,
up to about 3.8 million a year now.
Easy. That's conservative, I reckon. My debut year, he was retiring. 2007, Bellyache was going, I don't know if I'll go around anymore. Bloody hell. 50 years, he's still there.
That's actually true. That's not even G'ing up.
He's good. He's one of the best on and off the field. But yeah, look, I'm going to go the Sharkies for this one.
Yep.
Interesting times with the Bulldogs. If I'm the Bulldogs admin, I'm waiting another 4 or 5 rounds. If they continue playing this good footy, I re-sign Potter on a 2-year deal and wait for Ciraldo to see if he's interested in coming.
Another 4 or 5 rounds. That's like almost end of the year.
Yeah. I just think that like there's the situation with the coaches is all those other coaches right now that are off contract. It isn't like that they're going to be off the market sooner, like quickly.
Yes. No, that's right. That's right.
So anyway, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to continue previewing the round. Make sure to text and call in. Text 0457 736 736. Call in 1300 01 1170. After the break, we might even talk about the Dolphins' brand new signing. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Now we've got some more. We've got some text here, actually. We've got some text here. G'day, fellas. Muzza here. I have a question for Goat. Did you feel prouder winning a grand final, playing for Queensland, or playing for Australia, and in what order? To quote the great Mal Meninga, beats playing for Queensland, beats playing for Australia.
When he won the grand final
in 1989.
There you go. I feel a lot the same. I think winning a grand final is the ultimate, I guess, as a sports person, because you work so long and so hard for that one match. It's like you're working for nearly 12 months of the year to achieve that. So I guess that's a really hard thing to do. There's so many players that play our game that don't get an opportunity to win a grand final, let alone play in a grand final. So I reckon that's
Tell me about it.
For me. Yeah. So for me, that was I guess that's the ultimate.
Yeah.
Playing representing your country is always a very proud moment. It's a proud thing to be given the honour of pulling on your country's colours. But playing for Queensland, that was huge.
Yeah,
it was so big. It was such a big thing to do because as Queenslanders, and I can only speak on behalf of Queenslanders, growing up as a Queenslander, watching State of Origin, being a little boy that loved rugby league. That's the thing you dreamt about the most.
Yeah, absolutely.
Was pulling on a maroon jersey and representing Queensland and running out onto Lang Park. I got to play on Lang Park.
Yeah,
as a junior.
The OG.
I played some. Yeah, I played some schoolboy footy there, and I got to play a club match. But and an under 19s Queensland side, so I got to play for Queensland on Lang Park.
That's mad.
The old ground. But it wasn't until 03 where it was Suncorp.
Speaking of big moments, and like you're always known as a captain that was pretty calm, pretty collected. Was there ever a game, Queensland, Australian, otherwise, where the pressure didn't get to you, but you really were feeling like, oh, this is a lot?
Game 1, 2008.
Really?
I'll name it straight away.
Okay.
First game as Queensland captain.
Walk us through the feeling.
I was just that nervous that I had to go out there and do something I didn't need to do, or be a player that I didn't need to be.
Yeah.
Thinking that, mate, this is a big moment. You're the captain. Don't do anything wrong. Don't lose the game. But that was the most nervous I've ever been. And then Mal grabbed me and said, "Mate, pull your head in. Just be the player you've been every other time for Queensland." And I was good from there. We ended up winning the series.
Far out. Incredible stuff. We're going to head to a break. After the break, we'll get to your text and calls, and we'll continue our round 16 preview and wrap up the last hour. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Remember, you can catch up on anything you missed from the show via our podcast, which you can download now on the SEN app. Also, subscribe to us, the Captain's Run, on Apple and Spotify. You can give us a call on 1300 01 1170, or you can text 0457 736 736. Follow us on Instagram at SEN League. Great Instagram. Has all the news, has all the graphics and updates for scores, for the latest news in rugby league. Or you can follow us on Twitter, 1170 SEN. Look, Twitter's a bit too dangerous place for me, Smithy. It's a bit too wild for Kempy.
Yes.
I don't know if I could handle it.
Right.
It's a wild west out there, Twitter. But if you are on Twitter, 1170 SEN. Time now to look at our game of the round.
And let's be positive too. If you're on Twitter, let's be positive.
Yeah, let's be positive.
Come
Look,
on.
Let's talk like
much hate.
Talk
Seriously.
like you would talk if they were standing in front of you. That's why I always say, Smithy.
Yeah, because if 3/4 of the people said stuff like they do on Twitter, they get punched in the mouth.
literally.
Anyway, let's get back to footy.
Back to footy, Smithy. Me and you, we were tough footy players back in our day, getting in fights all the time.
Lovers. We were lovers, not fighters.
I remember one time. This is that shows the mastery of Wayne Bennett. So we were rolling into 2008 finals period. Broncos had an incredible squad. Lockie, Hodjo, Petro. Just a crazy squad. A squad that could genuinely challenge for the premiership. But anyway, so Bennett was kind of like, we were coming into a big game. I think it might have been the Sydney Roosters. And there was like a sniff on the horizon that this Roosters pack had an issue.
Right.
And they wanted to go hard.
Yep.
And matter of fact, it turned out to be one of the most physical first halves of rugby league I've ever been a part of. Not the hardest. Obviously, the craziest game was that Storm. This was the Storm year where you guys beat us on the buzzer.
Oh, wait.
Anyway, so he gave this big speech to the whole squad about aggression, dominating, just all the usual stuffs about dominating the opposition. And then he goes, Darius and Denon, could you come see me after the meeting? Anyway, so he calls us into the meeting, and I was like, sitting down, and he's like, listen, boys, I know you're not the most aggressive players, but I need you to play with passion. So I need you to channel that. You don't have the aggression, but you've got passion.
Yeah, show me that.
And I was like, you know what, Bennett, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm not trying to hurt no one.
That's why he's a great coach.
And that's why he's a great coach.
He knows his players.
He knows his players. Me and Darbs were like, you know what? You're totally right, Bennett. I'm not aggressive. I'm not going to get in a fight. I'm just going to enjoy rugby league on the edge.
Yes.
And hopefully score some tries. But let's get to continue the round review. We have the Cowboys versus the Brisbane Broncos in a massive, massive clash. Who would have thought at the start of this year? Oh, sorry, no. We'll go. Actually, sorry. The Warriors versus Tigers. Then I got excited, Smithy. I got excited.
Yep.
The Warriors versus Tigers. First of all, what an incredible sight to see the New Zealand Warriors touch back down in New Zealand.
So good.
Sacrifice so much for the game.
Yep.
And I think the Warriors are going to come out and absolutely blitz the Tigers.
Yep.
Playing for their country, playing for their fans that have continued to stay loyal even though they don't get to go and watch them. How do you see this match playing out at Mount Smart?
Oh, look, I think it's going to be just an unbelievable atmosphere there. It'll be sold out. Is it sold out already?
Yeah.
Has to be.
Easy.
Yeah. And these players, there's some players that haven't had an opportunity to play at Mount Smart Stadium yet. I think this is Reece Walsh's first game.
Well, actually, there was a stat that I think that only 2 players of the 2019 squad is in this team.
Oh, right.
That's
so the last group of players that have played there.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Only 2 players. And the thing is Jazz Tavanga.
Yep.
And maybe Tohu Harris or another player. But it's a small amount.
Yeah, I reckon it'll be Tohu Harris. Yep.
So how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, look, I think this is an unfortunate timing for West Tigers. I think with the Warriors going back home to play in front of their home crowd, Mount Smart Stadium. They went back maybe a few days ago?
Yes.
Maybe 3 days ago?
Landed about, it might have even
Was it
yesterday.
Monday?
It was a couple of days.
Yeah, okay. But just seeing them arrive and the reception that they had at home with all their locals and the fans and some of the celebrations that were happening, it was just fantastic. And I know, speaking with Reece Walsh in camp for Game 2, just talking to him about the Warriors going back over to New Zealand to play some home games for the remainder of this year, he was absolutely jumping out of his skin for this opportunity to do it.
That's good to hear with a key player like that isn't from New Zealand.
And it was great. Like, he's only a young fella. As I said, this is the first time he's getting an opportunity to play at Mount Smart. And he was asking so many questions about the atmosphere there, what's it like,
the drums, that tunnel that you run out
and
of.
I just said, mate, look, I was lucky, because we played, because the Storm had so many Kiwi players in our lineup.
Yeah.
We had really strong support over there as well.
Yeah.
And you can talk about some of the Storm Warriors clashes. Like, they're as big as any.
Yeah, sure.
And the Warriors always got up for Melbourne Storm games. So whenever we went over to Auckland and we played at Mount Smart Stadium, it was a packed house. It was a packed house, and there was plenty of Storm supporters there, no doubt about that. But it was just a great atmosphere, and the Warriors seemed to play well every time we played them there too.
Mate, the Kiwi supporters, when you're doing well, they get behind you so much, and it's so great. Matter of fact, the first year I went over there, obviously didn't play the best, but the first year that I went over there, I actually started the season relatively decently, but the support from the base was it was almost a different to Brisbane. Like, Brisbane's obviously massive, like a big organisation, but there was a very family vibe to the New Zealand. I can't really explain it. You got to kind of feel it. It felt almost like a home away from home. But they were so supportive, the New Zealand Warriors fan base, that the Auckland Blues had their round 1 match the same weekend that we had a trial match.
Okay.
And our trial match sold way more tickets than their round 1 match.
Really?
So that's how much they get behind you, New Zealand. When you're going well, they get behind you like no other.
Yep.
And I just think that it's going to be an incredibly special moment, almost a bit of a healing moment for the Warriors and the fans, just to be able to see the boys run out. Running through that tunnel, I always used to love running. You'd go off the training field through the tunnel. There'd be drums beating. You'd hear the boys whooping up, running through it.
Yep.
Mount Smart's a great stadium. It's
Yep.
so cool to play at. So really excited for the boys.
It's just great that they'll feel that connection again.
Absolutely.
For the people and the city that they represent. Well, the country, sorry. They're the New Zealand Warriors, but just the people and their fans, playing on their stadium, not someone else's. Like they've called Redcliffe home for the last couple of seasons, but this is their home ground.
Yeah.
So just having that connection back again, I think you'll see a fairly spirited performance.
Speaking of spirited, is there a worry that they are too passionate, too emotional?
No.
And they good to go?
No, I think they're ready.
They're ready?
No, I think you'll see one of the better performances from the Warriors in a long, long time.
Because we have to remember the first game they played where everything went down and they completed it like 100% for like 78 minutes of the game against the Dragons.
Yeah.
And so like they do have a tendency when their backs against the wall or a big moment arrives, they can turn up.
Yep. And I'm backing, some of the big names too. Wateni Zalesniak, Sean Johnson, Adam Fanua-Blake, he's a weapon.
Yes.
Tohu Harris, these guys, I think they're going to be in for really, really big matches. And again, it's really bad timing for West Tigers. But yeah, I'm on board with the Warriors this one.
Now, speaking quickly of the West Tigers, it's good that Stefano Utakamanu returns from injury, as well as James Roberts. Brown starts at hooker, Jacob Little to the reserves. I have to say, though, that it is looking like the Madge sacking mid-year was not the right call because they've gone from a much improved side. Yes, they weren't getting the results, but the type of footy they were playing was so much better.
Yeah.
To the Tigers of old, unfortunately.
Back in the first 6 weeks.
Yes, unfortunately. Do you think that, is it going to get worse before it gets better now?
Oh, probably. Yeah, probably. And maybe until they announce who's taking over next year, it may well be that way. It's just been a bludger of a year for the West Tigers, unfortunately. Fans included. It's been tough to follow the side with some of the results going their way, but they're a better footy side than what we're seeing.
For sure.
They're a better footy side. We've seen it. Yeah, we've seen it. They had a couple of wins back to back. They knocked off two quality footy sides. That's why I think that's why the Madge sacking. Oh well, did he step aside? Did he get sacked? We don't know. That was surprising at that time because I agree with you. I think we'd seen them turn the corner a little bit, and they started to improve from what we've seen at the start of the year. So anyway.
What are your thoughts on, Melbourne Storm was such a really well-run club for so long. Yeah. When you look at the Tigers and they're so public about, for example, meeting with Serraldo. Yes, we are pursuing Serraldo. Yep. And then Serraldo comes out and, just says, no, sorry, I'm not interested, and publicly rejects the offer.
Yep.
Do you feel like sometimes the Tigers could just keep things a bit more private, close to the chest, so that they don't have to deal with getting
rejection
knocked back publicly?
Well, I think they're probably looking for some positive news and saying, hey, listen, we're out there.
Yeah.
We're actively chasing, one of the best young coaches coming through, who is touted as going to be the next best first grade coach. But then for him to turn around and say, look, no, sorry, I won't be coming, that hurts.
Yes.
Because you build it up and everyone gets excited and then you just say, nah, he's not coming. And then you're back to the drawing board, back to square one again, searching for another coach. So I think they could probably be a little bit more subtle, a little bit more sort of behind the scenes work. I reckon they could get that done that way.
Yeah, I just think that I understand, and I appreciate the fact that they're trying to put out there what they're doing so fans know that they're actually doing that.
Yep.
But you do open yourself up to, tough situations like that.
Down.
Now, let's get quickly to the Broncos v Cowboys.
Yes. It's our match of the round.
It's our match of the round. It's our game of the round, and we do that thanks to Suncorp.
Yep.
Get award-winning car insurance with Suncorp.
Yes.
So match of the round, North Queensland Cowboys versus, obviously, the Broncos. I think this is going to be a cracking match. Old school Broncos versus Cowboys, where it's decided by a very small margin.
Yep. Luciano Leilua is named for the Cows. That's part of that whole West Tigers thing.
Oh,
Just funny how...
why against us?
Anyway.
Why? Give him an extra week, Peyton. He needs another week off.
It's his 100th.
Holy.
So big one for him to pull on the Cowboys colours. And, oh, geez, I reckon the Cows might get you, mate. Sorry to say.
Ouch.
Up there. There's still a little bit of uncertainty. Like Adam Reynolds, he's been named to come back and play with a rib injury, but I was hearing like he's dealing with a broken rib and a dislocation. Is that, am I hearing that right?
Well, apparently he's going to be needled for another 8 weeks, apparently.
Goodness me.
Wowzers.
Oh.
Also, great news for the Broncos. Selwyn Cobbo re-signs. What do you think about that, Smithy?
Yeah, huge. He's a great young player, and he's only going to get better. He is only going to get better, Selwyn. He's been thrust into the Origin arena at a very young age. He's only a young man still, and still learning the game.
Yeah.
Like he's still figuring out how to get the very best out of himself, and it takes some time. Like as you know, particularly in that position.
Yeah.
In the modern game, they have to make so many defensive decisions out on the wing, but he's got so much natural ability, and I think that's huge for the Broncos that they've been able to lock him away.
How far the club has come in like 12 months.
Yeah.
Where we were literally, dying to hold on to someone. We were almost losing Stags. We lost Fafita.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of the young guys. We lost Reece Walsh. We lost Sam Walker.
Yep.
To all of a sudden being able to keep a guy like Selwyn Cobbo and not have to pay massive overs.
Well, because the young players that you mentioned, like they were probably looking at where the club was at the moment. They were just like, mate, I can't see my career going anywhere with this club at the moment.
Yeah.
But now, because they found some form, it looks like that everyone's enjoying their footy there. They're enjoying the environment that they're working in, and they're sitting in a really strong position, on the ladder.
Yeah. Now the Cowboys, do we like? Are they close enough to that top two in the sense that like you've got Storm, you've got Panthers? Me personally, I just can't see a team beating both of those teams to win the comp.
Yep.
But the Cowboys...
Parramatta's done it.
I know, which is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
To win the comp, though.
To win the comp, to get through a finals.
Yeah.
Are Cowboys a real deal, do you think?
Oh, look, I certainly think they're most definitely in the top three. The results show firsthand that they are. When it comes to the crunch, though, when it comes to the business end of the year, are they going to be able to handle that next stage of the competition? Are they going to be able to make that step up like we know the Storm can and like we know Penrith can? But I tell you what, Kempy, all you need is a little bit of luck.
True.
You get yourself into finals, and all you need is a little bit of luck along the way. And just, who knows, mate?
Well, you look at the Rabbitohs last year. I'm not to say there was luck, but they knocked off Panthers round one of the finals.
Yeah, they did.
And all of a sudden, they'd gotten rid of one of the big boogeymen. To get into the finals, and so you're totally right. Like game one, let's say Cowboys, upset Storm again. Yep,
and you look along the way after knocking off Penrith in the first semi-final, Penrith then had to go play Parramatta, and like that could have gone against Penrith. So absolutely. Penrith could have been gone in straight sets. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Like when you look at it, it was so close. They won by 2 points.
Yeah, and so tough calls too.
Yeah, some tough calls that didn't go Parramatta's way. That could have changed the match, but you just don't know when you're talking about all the Cowboys need to worry about at the moment is, hey, let's just continue doing what we're doing really well and look for those small improvements along the way. Yeah. And just take that form, take that confidence into finals, and hey, when we get there, let's just give it a red hot crack. Let's just because they may with the way the finals system works. If it remains the same, like they'll be taking on Melbourne week one.
Wow.
Week one.
The good thing for Cowboys is that, they have, I know Melbourne were missing quite a few players, but they do have that win over them. So
well that, and you take that, not that says you're going to beat them again, but you got to go into it and go, hey, listen, we've knocked these guys off once before. Yeah. Like, why can't we do it again? Yeah. It's like Cowboys of 2017. without a Jonathan Thurston. Okay, so he
Without
finishes.
and Matt Scott as well.
Matt Scott wasn't there.
Mm.
They play their last round, and some of their players still have a bit of a laugh about this. But they play their last round, and they thought they were on Mad Monday. They thought their season was over, and then a result went their way.
Yeah.
In the last match, I think it was the last match of the round on a Sunday afternoon, and they're like, "Hang on a minute, boys, we're playing finals."
Oh man!
And then they went bang, 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 and all of a sudden they're playing in a grand final.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's all you need, a little bit of luck.
Now, after the break, we'll share our holy schnitz moments. These are the moments where we were sitting in front of our TV and we went, holy schnitz. That's what we actually did in real life. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Holy schnitz. I'm getting starving at the moment.
Tom, are we getting a holy schnitz burger or a
Surely
wrap?
soon.
Thanks, Tommy.
Because I'm starving and it is the best snitties in all the land. Now, this was the moment when I read the stats.
Yes.
After New Zealand and Tonga, I yelled into my house.
Yes.
My wife was like, what's going on? I said, holy schnitz. She said, no schnitzels for dinner, love. No schnitzels for dinner. I said, oh no. Can I dip around the corner to schnitz and grab one? She said, shut up and get back in the bedroom.
So what did you say it for then?
You know why I did say it?
Why?
Joey Manu, 400 metres.
Oh, man.
Joey Manu ran for 400 plus metres while playing for fullback for New Zealand against Tonga. What an incredible, 400 metres, a record. Crazy record. When did you yell holy schnitz this week?
You and I yelled holy schnitz when Aussie Kawaja ran out Steve Smith overnight.
What's doing?
Oh, no.
Holy schnitz.
The first test against Sri Lanka, and he's run him out.
And
I tell you what, I reckon Steve Smith yelled it too.
I think he did yell holy schnitz. If you listen closely.
I know he turned around and gave him the biggest death stare ever.
Mate, what is doing? Whose fault was that? 'Cause some say it was Steve Smith for saying yes, then no, then yes.
Yes.
And then some are saying it was Kawaja's fault for saying
no
and yes, no.
I think there's a whole lot of wrong there.
Yeah.
In cricket.
A whole lot of schnitz too.
Yep. I don't know. I'm not blaming anyone. I just know that was I said holy schnitz when it happened. Because Steve Smith, mate, you don't run Steve Smith out.
Oh, the great
Smithy,
Steve Smith.
Smudger.
Mate, one of the best. One of the best. He was filthy too. What about the look on his face?
Oh, you would be. I'd hate to be run out.
Mate, absolutely.
Although, I'd love to be a test player. No, actually, would you? What would you be more frightened of, terrified of? Standing in front of Junior Bolo or standing in front of 145-kilometre red cricket ball?
Probably the red cricket ball.
Yeah, same.
Because, I know what it feels like to get bumped, trust me. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad getting steamrolled. So, look, whereas getting hit with a cricket ball, ouch.
No thanks.
Ouch.
No thanks.
Now, they were our holy schnitz sporting moments thanks to Schnitz. Got that winning taste right now? Schnitz, handcrafted schnitzels made fresh and made just for you. After the news, we'll continue our round 16 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Make sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify, the Captain's Run, or you can download the SCN app and listen to the podcast anytime. Now, let's get into South Sydney Rabbitohs versus Para Eels. Absolutely huge game. Latrell Mitchell returns. I tell you what, there'd be a lot of South fans with their fingers crossed going, please be the missing piece of the puzzle to get us back into the 8, if they are out of the 8. But at least
does he unlock Cody Walker?
Look, I think...
Or does he fire Cody up?
I think he does.
Really?
I think Cody gets a lot of confidence from the fact that he's got a fullback there that's going to read him well, understand where he needs to be, not be. Put it this way: the next 2 or 3 games for me for the Rabbitohs is season defining, and that may sound obvious, but I just genuinely believe that if they can't kick straight away, it's just going to be really patchy.
Okay.
How do you think see this match playing out?
Look, I'm thinking Parramatta here. Given it is Latrell's first game back and going straight back into that fullback position, as we know, when you're watching league, it's a pretty significant job playing fullback, and he's named to start too. You can't expect him to be at his best, not yet, no way. Not with the layoff he's had. What did we say? His last game he played, it was April 9. So it's a long time. It's nearly 3 months.
And just to clarify quickly, Rabbitohs are sitting equal 8 with the Dragons right now.
Yeah. Look, a result against them this week, they could drop out of the 8.
Yeah.
Easily. Look, I'm backing Parramatta here. Lachlan Ilias. Be interesting to see how he goes after he got the
Hookaroonie.
The hook down at Wynn, down at Wollongong against the Dragons last start. They didn't get off the bus last their game against the Dragons.
Yeah.
I know it was a big match for St George Illawarra. Andrew McCulloch playing his 300th. But they just did not get off the bus. And I'm not just talking like Ilias got the hook. I think Burgess got the hook just before him. But their entire footy side, they come out and improved in the second half, but they just didn't look interested. Yeah. They didn't have the right attitude in defence. They were dropping off tackles left, right, and centre. Like St George scored 32 points in the first half. So, they're going to be. I'd like to think they'll improve from that game, but I think Parramatta will be too strong with this one.
It's interesting because Demetrio has come out and said he had to protect Ilias. Wow. And so I was interesting to see, does he mean protect him because he could see the game going very poorly and he wanted his 7 not to lose confidence? But then I was like, well, wouldn't he lose more confidence by getting the hook? Yeah. Really interesting time. Look, I feel sorry for Demetrio to a degree not because I pity the bloke. He's a coach. He's of a NRL. He's doing fantastic in life.
He's got a job to do. Yeah.
But I do in the sense of he has been handed, like, not only did he lose the Reynolds, did he lose Dane Gagai, Wayne Bennett, his shadow always looms large over clubs when he leaves.
Yes.
But then to lose your key player, your key superstar in Latrell Mitchell, he has been up against it this year. It hasn't all gone well for Demetrio.
That's right. No. Well, he knew Reynolds was going and Gagai. But yeah, that's just another. That's a thing that they wouldn't have been planning for, to have Latrell Mitchell only play, 6 games this year?
Yeah.
Something like that. Like it's just, that's not something that he would have been planning for. So he's had to do it the hard way. But, that's our game. And sometimes you dealt some tough challenges. You dealt some bad luck. But you just got to get on and do your best with what you got. It's not about who's not there. It should be just about who is there and doing your best with those players. Which I believe, he's Jason Demetrio's had that attitude. It's just they've had a lot of results go against them this year, and they haven't helped themselves. I really truly believe that they're another side, more so than Manly, that have underplayed this year with the team that they still have. Even with the Latrell injured, they have a much better side than what they have shown us this year.
No, I agree. And just quickly, are the Eels back? Which Eels are we going to get this week? We're going to get the gun Eels that is literally a premiership threat?
Yeah. Don't know. Yeah. I really don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't know with Parramatta. I think what we'll see from them is a good enough game to beat Rabbits. We'll have to wait and see how good that is, though.
Yes. Okay. Now, St George Dragons versus the Canberra Raiders. Skipper Ben Hunt has been named after picking up a lower leg injury in Origin 2. Anthony Griffin is stuck with the same side that beat the Bunnies round 15. Jackie Whiten returns from COVID, pushing Matt Frawley out. Charles Nicol-Klustad has been named to return from a hamstring injury on the bench, so James Schiller drops out. Who have you got winning here?
Oh, this is going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to this one. This is going to wrap up our round 15. St George were really impressive in their last game. Really impressive. It's unlike the football that we'd seen from them all year. They went on an absolute blitz in the first 40 minutes. Things changed a little bit in the second half, and there was quite a strong breeze in that game behind them, I must say, in that first 40 minutes. But it just showed, like, when they have their mind on the job, and it was a big occasion for them, as I mentioned. One of their favourite players had a huge milestone, 300 games. When they lift, they play well. So treat every game like that.
Yeah.
Like, why do you have to wait for a special milestone to come out and put in a performance like that?
Well, I will say, and this may be hyperbolic, but this, in my opinion, is their most important game up until this point of the season. And I'll tell you why, Smithy.
Yes.
The Rabbitohs play the Eels. Now, Eels most likely will win. Let's just assume the Eels win.
Okay.
Roosters play Panthers. Let's just assume Panthers win.
Yes.
Sea Eagles play Storm.
assume Storm wins.
Sean Stimp. So the Dragons are playing the Raiders, who are the other team challenging for that 8 position.
Yes.
So they actually, if they win this, they can kick clear of that group by a win. And that's why I believe it's their most important match up until this point all season. Because it's almost, it could be a season-defining one because it's the one match that they can win where all other competing teams could lose.
Yes.
So I think
you have them winning?
Honestly, and I'm like before I realised this, I had the Raiders winning, but after looking at this, I actually think that the Dragons pipped them because of the importance of the match. They're going to look. Hook's going to identify this.
Yep.
And see, like, look, let's just throw everything at this.
Oh, look, you'd like to think the players are aware of this situation too. You really do. You'd like to think that players are aware of the situation of, hey, listen, this is what a victory in this game could do for us. It could put us in the top 8 clear, a game clear of a few other sides, vying for that position. Massive game from him. Jack Whiten's back. He's back from he missed Origin 2 with COVID. That's a good matchup. A guy that's been there for a long time at 6 against Talatau Amon. I thought he was really good. He was really good against the Rabbits. He was sharp.
He's got so much potential.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah.
I like him as a player. I thought he was really, really good.
Yeah. I think Sully as well has been really good for the Dragons, really consistent.
Yep.
Just quickly on the Raiders, gun to your head, do they play finals footy this year? Gun to your head.
Mate. I don't know what's their remote. I don't even know who their matchup is for the rest of the year.
I'll throw it out there.
Okay, go.
I think they do.
I'm going to say, geez. I'm going to say yes.
Wow. What a turnaround it would be, though. Yep. Because, like, it was their first 8 games, I think they went 1.
Oh, they looked
one win.
Nowhere near it.
1 win and 7 losses, I think, or it's like 2 wins and 6 losses. And then their last 6 games or 7 games has been like 4 or 5 wins and 2 losses.
Yep.
So they've just turned their season around, which is really, really good for Raiders fans. Now, on to signing news. Sean O'Sullivan has signed with the Dolphins.
Yep.
Now,
would you expect him to be the 7 next year then?
I'd have to assume so. Now, the Dolphins have signed a young half from Panthers, Katoa.
Yep.
I think it's Katoa, is it? Katoa?
Yep.
And so Katoa, it was really interesting. Panthers were filthy about this. They actually publicly came out and was upset that they were developing juniors that were getting rated, I guess, by the clubs.
Yep.
And so
that's what happens when you have a successful system, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
That's a backhanded compliment in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, like, you know, when you look at the kid, like, is he really going to get a crack when you've got Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary there long term? Like, not really.
That's right. No.
And so they've got the young kid Katoa. He's like pretty much the best half of his age group.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see because also Anthony Milford apparently has a handshake agreement with Dolphins that he will go there next year. So I think that right now that if you were to bet next year, the Dolphins starting 6 and 7 will be Sean O'Sullivan at 7, Anthony Milford at 6.
Oh.
What do you think about the signing? Is it a smart signing in your eyes?
Yeah, I think so. Like if you look at Sean O'Sullivan, the way he actually started the season for Penrith with Nathan Cleary out. I think it was the first 3 matches. Went undefeated. Now I know he's playing in a strong side and he's got great players around him, but he did a wonderful job for them. So he takes that the learnings that he's had from Penrith in that system, and he can take it up to the Dolphins, where they're going to be. You know, there's going to be a lot of young guys up there, a lot of guys starting out their career. There's going to be a handful of guys coming towards the end of their career. So I think a guy that's got some first-grade experience playing in that 7 jersey and I've known Sean O'Sullivan since he was a little fella, like 5 or 6 years of age. And he's just, he's a young man that's lived and breathed rugby league since he was born. So he loves the game. He knows all about it. And he's got some really strong parts of his game that can be beneficial to the Dolphins.
Absolutely. I think it's a great signing because it's not going to break the bank. You know, at least that in a good system, he can deliver victories because you look at Penrith Panthers and people might say, oh, well, it's the Penrith Panthers. We only have to look back a year ago. Jerome Luai and Burton, they dropped a game or 2 together. So it's not as simple as like you put a Panthers jersey on, you get the win.
That's right.
So Sean O'Sullivan, I think it's a great signing. I think he actually suits Anthony Milford's style of play. I think it's a great signing. Now, we're going to head to a break. But after the break, we are going to talk about the Rugby League World Cup, and is there a few smoky teams that could put a bit of pressure on the New Zealand and Australian side? We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Make sure to follow us on Apple and Spotify, the Captain's Run. Also download the SEN app. You can listen at any time. Now, I wanted to talk quickly about the international games on the weekend, but also just about the World Cup, a little bit of a preview, a bit of a seeing where certain squads are. First of all, I want to talk about the Kiwis. Is this one of the most informed spines and best squads you've seen, Smithy?
Yep. Outstanding. Yeah, they're very good. Very good. Well, you take Hughes, Brandon Smith, obviously, and they're playing again, we talk about these systems and whatnot, but they're playing in a Storm outfit that are just, they're machine-like. And they do all the little things really well. We mentioned Jerome Hughes earlier in the show about, possibly being in the top three sort of players over the last couple of seasons. He's just fantastic. Joey Manu, again, 400 metres, like just crazy. So when I look at the lineups, and I was really impressed with that match, the Kiwis were strong. Even before kickoff, I'm looking at the two lineups of Kiwis and Tonga. I'm just going, mate, these are two very good footy sides.
Yeah. And
on top of that, like, you throw in Samoa too. Like, they've got some very, very good footballers in that footy side. So I wouldn't just say, talking about the World Cup this year, the same old teams are always tossed up to win it. Like, say, Kangaroos, Kiwis, and in England. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not as clear cut as it used to be. And thinking back, mate, like the last game that the Kangaroos played, they got beaten by Tonga.
Yeah.
So it's not as clear cut as what it once was.
Absolutely.
I don't know what your take is on it.
Oh, mate. I think, like, New Zealand, what I loved about New Zealand is that it wasn't, we've often seen New Zealand squads that look good on paper, but then they go out and it just doesn't seem to click. They just don't seem to deliver on what their potential is. Or every now and then they come out and show us how great they are. Whereas what I loved about this game was this New Zealand side, they played a structured game of footy. You could see them working towards certain parts of the field. You could see Hughes, dropping blokes under to get to the tram line or to get to the goalpost. And I just thought there was a lot of good, solid, structured footy there. And also some of the rhetoric coming out of the New Zealand camp, they said that they wanted some real, basically they wanted to be known as the defensive side of the World Cup.
Right.
And I was like, that's music to your ears if you're a Kiwi, because Kiwi sides have always had great attack. It's never been in doubt. So I just think the New Zealand side, they look really, really, they gel well together as well. They're all in form. The Tonga side, forward pack-wise, you could argue they've got the best forward pack in the whole World Cup. It's that strong. The only concern for me right now is their halves, is whether they've got structured enough halves to put everything together for them. Now, when it comes to Samoa, though, Samoa for me are the dark horses, because Jerome Luai, Brian To'o, Critter, Stephen Crichton, they all are eligible and haven't yet. I don't think they've confirmed yet as to what they'll play for.
Right.
And so when you look at that back line, Jerome Luai, obviously an Origin player, then you've got Tangor, you've got To'o, you've got Taylor May, you've got Stephen Crichton, you've got Luai. That's almost an entire, and you've got Charlie Staines at the fullback. That's an entire Penrith Panthers back line.
Yeah, I know.
Which is
so taking a ready-made back line.
Ready to go.
Yeah. Well, you would think those guys, if they're playing State of Origin, you would think they would be available for the Kangaroos first, and if they miss out on selection, then go and play for.
See, I think you can still make the choice.
Yeah, I think you can. But what I'm saying is,
you'd hope.
If you're putting your hand up and saying I'll play State of Origin, then should you not be eligible for Australia first? And if you're selected, then you should play for Australia. I don't know. That might be another discussion for another time. But
it's just such a tough one. I personally, like, in a perfect world, agree. Like, I think that if you play for New South Wales, you should want to play. Not that you want to, but you should play for Australia. But also the argument for we're trying to bolster the game and make the world game better. I can see the argument of allowing players to have a bit of flexibility there.
You know what?
And we're going to head to a break. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Now, Smithy, what are your tips for the round?
Righto, get your pen and paper, everyone. I'm tipping the Storm. I'm tipping the Knights, Panthers, Sharkies, Cowboys, Eels, Warriors, and I'm going to go the Dragons. And let's not forget, guys, it is Beanie for Brain Cancer Round. Get behind the Mark Hughes Foundation. It's a great cause. Grab yourself a beanie and put your hard-earned to good cause.
Absolutely. I'll be going down to my local IGA and grabbing one, or you can go to their website and grab one as well. You just Google Mark Hughes Foundation. Make sure to grab a beanie, guys. It's a great cause, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.